Great to see everyone, and just want to tell you what's going on in our trip. Maybe I can elaborate a little more. I can tell you it was a very, very productive visit, and we sat down for an hour and a half, had a great discussion back and forth. We left there knowing what the U.S. wants. And if I didn't do what I did, that meeting would have never happened. We'd be going back and forth, tit for tat. But there's a big difference when you're looking at someone, their whole trade team, across the table, looking at them in the eyes. You have a much better conversation than over the phone that we've had a few times so far. And I can tell you what they want. They're going to put a global tariff on the whole world on August the 2nd. What we're working at is making sure that we're first in line for exemptions. And we told the administration very clearly how we feel these tariffs are going to hurt the American people. Yes, it's going to hurt Canada, but it's going to hurt the American people. Mark my words, on April the 2nd, markets will continue to tumble. They were down over $4 trillion. Consumer confidence is down right now. Investments are down. Inflation is happening. And plants, if they continue, assembly plants in the U.S. will close down. People will be out of work. And I can tell you, our closest allies right now are the American people. And so we're going to continue the conversations. David Patterson, our trade representative in the U.S., followed up. They've kept their word about following up. They had a great conversation last night with a USTR, which was very, very helpful, and we're going to continue on. They also agreed we're going to carry these conversations on next week. As Secretary Lutnick told us, he's not invading Canada and all the other nonsense that's been going on. He wants to boost up Canada. It's in their best interest. After, if I can put it bluntly, after they fill their plate. But I went on to mention that you can't flick on a switch and create a car plant overnight. You can't switch on a flick of the lights and open up a aluminum plant. So I think they're coming to realize how important the supply chain is. Supply chain is critical. I also mentioned to them any car part that has a little streak of aluminum or steel that goes back and forth up to 8 times, the person in Texas that's buying a pickup truck is now going to be paying over $20,000 more for a pickup truck. And I know Americans, when they have to pay more and they see inflation happening and they see some plants close, well, they're going to have a very, very strong voice. We look forward to continuing these talks, and we aren't looking forward to April the 2nd, but we will retaliate, dollar for dollar, tariff for tariff. It is going to hurt the Americans. It is going to hurt us, but we can't roll over. We have to make sure we stay strong, we stay united as a country, and we have to continue on fighting. And like I've said many times, I'll fight like I've never fought before for Ontario and Canada as a whole. We have a great team of premiers, and we're going to continue staying focused. What can we do here in Canada? As I've mentioned to the Prime Minister, that we need to build big federal infrastructure projects, no matter if it's rail lines or it's pipelines or any big infrastructure project to keep people busy right across the country. And this is the time to do it. Let's get rid of the 20 years it takes to get a permit for critical minerals, be it the Ring of Fire. And I've always said our Ring of Fire is equal to Alberta's oil. They'll make us stronger. The whole world wants our critical minerals. Our neighbors to the south want our critical minerals, but we can't be taking 20 years. We want to work with First Nations communities as we have been, no matter if it's Arrowland or Webequie or Martin Falls, that are all gung-ho. And I've mentioned to the federal government as well, we need you part of that to build these big infrastructure projects. So we're going to continue working with the federal government. And I've always said, and I'll continue saying this, I don't care about political stripes. I don't care if it's a purple, green, orange, red, blue party. I'm going to work with the federal government in the best interest of Ontarians.
What specifically did they tell you about this global tariff, sir?
Yeah, they're going right across the board. And I just want to qualify, and thank you for that, Richard. I want to qualify this. As we all know, here are the goalposts today with them. The goalposts could change tomorrow. It could change April the 2nd. What we understand, there's 5 areas that they're kind of focusing on. Is lumber, is steel, it's aluminum, it's tech as well, and lumber. So those are roughly the 5 that they talk about. You hear a lot about dairy but the thing is, they don't understand. They haven't even hit the quota from the last agreement, so there hasn't been a tariff because they haven't met their quota. It was anything over our quota, they get tariffed on.
But they're saying August for every country. That's what they told you.
Yeah, they're April 2nd globally. They're going to put tariffs right across the board. And when it comes to Canada, they need to read a page out of Ronald Reagan's book. Protectionism never works, never has worked in the history of this world. We need to have a free and fair trade deal with our closest allies, and they still are our closest allies. So we look forward to working through this, and we want to be in the tier 1 level, per se, of countries that they turn to when they realize they can't produce the aluminum they need, or they can't produce the high-grade nickel and other critical minerals and autos and so on and so forth.
We've already seen layoffs. We've already seen layoffs in steel. Algoma, Vasco out by Ottawa, some others. And that's from the tariffs. The industrial carbon tax is set to go up April 1st. Yep. Prime Minister Carney wants to go higher. Do you have a message for him on raising the industrial carbon tax at this point?
It's very clear. Every government, no matter if it's federal or provincial, we have to take the burden away from these companies to be more competitive. We can't be throwing extra burdens onto companies that will make us less competitive. We're already facing a challenge. We need to protect our steel workers and any other company. And my good example is it's not one extreme or the other. It's not either or, it's and. And two examples is Dofasco and Algoma, that we invested in the electric arc furnaces to make sure that's it's like taking 2 million cars off the road. So let's invest in the electric arc furnaces, be it one example. Let's invest these companies that have high emissions and reduce it so we can create economic growth and wealth and make sure that we're environmentally conscious and reduce emissions. We've done it. It works, and let's continue doing that.
Did you tell him that last week?
Yes, I did. And on top of that, another good example, investments in the EV sector. Another great investment, building the largest subway system in North America right now until people can get out of their cars, hop on the subway, have it, 250,000 people jump into the subways. And once we build it and continue building it, then they'll have an ulterior option rather than just hopping in their car. We need to build highways. We need to build the schools and the hospitals. But as I've always said, the foundation of our healthcare, our education, our infrastructure is our economy. Without a strong economy, we have none of that. So we're going to focus on economy and continue building. Internal trade is another item on the table. I think for the first time, all the premiers are agreeing that let's get rid of all these exemptions, and it will add 4% to our GDP. Those are staggering numbers. How can it be easier to deal with the U.S. than getting a bottle of wine from B.C. over to Ontario? We need to just have open, free trade across the country. It'll benefit everyone.
Premier, in some of your remarks, Mr. Lutnick wants to build Canada up, something along those lines. He's on television bashing Canada, bashing Ontario, and you, saying we're ungrateful, unthankful, we're tone deaf. What makes you think in any way he's out to help Canada?
Well, I think he's totally toned it down. I haven't seen him do an interview since we had our meeting, and I've kind of held back as well. I don't want to do anything to jeopardize our talks and our negotiations. I want to make sure when we get through this, we're on the tier 1 level of being a supplier and a good supplier to the U.S., but we have to take care of things at home as well. As I mentioned, the permitting on infrastructure, making sure we have open and free trade across the country, taking the burdens off the backs of companies that find it hard to compete, not to mention an additional cost on that. So we need to take care of our own home and then we're going to continue negotiating with Secretary Lutnick.
Premier, at the end of that meeting,
Prime Minister Carney yesterday suggested that there's a limit to Canada's retaliatory efforts here when you're putting our economy up against the United States.
Yeah.
Do you agree with that assessment? Do you think our strategy needs to change as you're kind of saying we need to maybe work within the U.S. system as opposed to fighting them at every turn?
Well, first of all, we can't roll over. Another great question. We have to retaliate. But keep in mind the tiers that we have done. We did the 30, another 30, and we have another 65 left. The 65 and what we were all trying to avoid is to hurt Canadians. So when we retaliate this time, there may be some bumps for the next few months until we get closer to even a bilateral trade deal. USCA opposed to USMCA. But again, that's a further discussion down the road to discuss.
Quick question about bike lanes, Premier.
Yes.
There was a group this morning who protested outside here, fearful that bike lanes can start coming out in 2 days. When will you start removing bike lanes? And they say that this will hurt both the economy, the environment, and more people will be killed. What's your response to that?
Well, I totally disagree. And listen, I've been very clear. I'm not against bike lanes. I'm just not. Even when I was a city councillor and with my brother Rob, we built more bike lanes, believe it or not, than David Miller, but we put them on secondary roads. And we're just talking about 3 roads. So like 97% of all the bike lanes are staying. And I'm all for, putting these bike lanes on secondary roads instead of main arterial roads. When you have 1 and 1.5% of the people using the bike lanes and 70% of the people driving, I think this is a no-brainer. So we're going to continue moving forward. I know we have a court case. I think we won the injunction. We have another court case coming up in April, mid-April sometime, and we'll be listening to the justice there. But we just need to move traffic along. In saying that, with Toronto, and it's really all coming to Toronto, we've invested the largest investment in public transit than anywhere in the world, in North America right now. So we're making those investments into transit, and that's what we prefer. People hopping on the trains, getting out of their cars, and reducing emissions, and that's what we're doing.
Start Thursday.
No, it's not going to start Thursday.
Crosstown opening in September.
Yeah, something, I know they're doing the training right now, and I saw a video of them training along that line. So as soon as they get the training completed with the transit workers, then we'll be able to open up. But our number one priority was safety, and we're finally through that, if I can call it a real mess over decades. But I always look at the positive side too. That's done. Eglinton West was 4 weeks ahead of schedule, on time, on budget. The Ontario line, that's going really well. Scarborough, Young Extension, we have to continue building, and everything seems to be moving along quite well. I'm not 100% September, but I'll push them.
You're going to be unveiling your new cabinet tomorrow.
Yes.
Are we expecting any changes? I mean, a lot of conservatives say that in order to project stability that you called for during the election, that you have to continue on with. It's my wife.
Tell President Trump I'll call him back. Okay, so anyways.
It's my wife. You can call her.
Yeah.
She's tougher. Are we expecting any big changes when it comes to cabinet tomorrow, or much of the same?
Well, I have to make sure I put the proper cabinet ministers in based on the mandate we received from the people that I'm very, very grateful. And we're just going to continue moving forward on the infrastructure projects and everything else. So my goal is to put the best ministers in that area to move forward with our agenda. I'm blessed. I have the best caucus, best cabinet, and I wouldn't even be standing here if it wasn't for them. And I'm so grateful.
Do you need a portfolio that's specifically targeted on tariffs, or are you going to be dealing with that?
I'll be dealing with that directly, but it's a multi-ministerial group that no matter if it's infrastructure we're talking or anything in the auto sector, be it Vic Fideli. So we'll all be working together and going to continue working together. I want to give a shout out to our First Nations community. You know something? They're incredible. I've been getting so many phone calls. Keep going. We're behind you. And man, they're incredible. And let's never forget in Remembrance Day, how we remember our First Nations communities that fought shoulder to shoulder for our democracies and freedoms. So I just want to give them a big shout out. Thank you for all the calls from the chiefs saying just keep going, we have your back. So I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful for the patriotism we see across the country. And here's an example of that. You know, when we met with Secretary Lutnick, I don't know, maybe 1% of the population in the U.S. knew. I can tell, well, you folks know, there was 40 million people just glued to the television, and they know what's going on. And that's the difference between the Canadian people versus the American people. So I'm grateful for everyone's support. Forget the political stripes. Everything's moving forward. I think we need I think we need a little rally or something across the country and get everyone pumped up.
On the tariffs, it looks like.
I'm sorry, sorry, go ahead. Yes, no, two more questions.
Thanks so much. On the tariffs, I mean, it looks like a federal election campaign could be kicked
Yes.
off in less than a week here. Like,
think
what
so.
do you see that your role will be during that time when perhaps federal ministers and they might be a bit busy?
Well, in that, on the tariff side, we're going to continue carrying on that conversation. David Patterson is extremely bright individual. He talks their language. He was a former president of GM Canada. They had a gentleman from Ford, U.S. down there. So they hit it off like two peas in a pod. He's been working on this for a number of months, but we're going to continue moving these conversations forward. And I always say, and I'll repeat it again, I represent Ontario. I don't represent any of the provinces or premiers. If I'm chair, we're going to be sitting down, hopefully on Friday for an FMN. I don't represent the federal government, but what I'm trying to do is continue carrying on these conversations. The last thing we want to do is break away from the table and it starts going back and forth again. But yeah, there's going to be challenges, no doubt. But I believe in the strength of the Canadian people, the manufacturing capabilities we have, the technology we have. We have so many things that America does need. So we're going to move forward and not stop fighting. I'm sorry, Brian, and then I'll go to you, sorry.
At City Hall tomorrow,
Yes.
the executive committee is going to be looking at a recommendation to have an appointed, unelected Indigenous councillor. That would need to have provincial approval.
Yes.
Have full voting rights. Is that something that you would back?
Well, I want everyone to be involved, so I'll sit down with Mayor Chow and have a chat with her as well. But I'm proud of all the municipalities that have come out and said, you know, fire trucks, for example. We have a great company in Brampton that builds fire trucks, and I encourage all fire departments to go and buy local, like we're saying right across the board. We do about just Ontario government, not the agencies or anything. We do $30 billion of procurement. We want to focus Ontario number one, number two, Canada. And if we just can't get it anywhere, we have to get it off the U.S., then we have no choice. But let's do our best. And again, with people in buying groceries, it's unbelievable. I went in the other day and saw a couple women, they have the bag flipped around looking. And I just said, hello, rah, 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 and what are you doing? I knew what they were doing. They were looking, she said, I'm seeing if it's made in Canada. And the retailers have done a pretty good job with putting the Canadian flags and identifying it. Little Miss Jones is not going to pull out her phone and scan the back. We need to put the price on the shelf talkers and a Canadian flag. Make it simple. And people will buy. Keep in mind, across the entire country, retailers sell about $800 billion. Here, it's a little over $300 billion. Everyone's playing their part in it. I've had people, I'm canceling my trip, I'm doing this, if you have to go to Florida, Walt Disney World, so be it, whatever. But let's focus on the purchasing power of Ontario and Canada. That's the most important. I'm sorry, you were next. I apologize.
Federal cabinet. What do you make of it? Can we get your reaction?
Well, again, I'll work with anyone, right? They have some good people. There's no secret. I have a great relationship with Chrystia Freeland. I have a great relationship with Dominic LeBlanc. And again, yes, she is. She is. Yeah, she does
Do you
transport.
think you have a better relationship with Mark Carney or Pierre Poilievre?
I don't know either one of them, to be very frank.
Who would you like to get to know better?
Either one. I'll work with anyone. I don't know either one.
The ETFO released a report today saying that special education is being chronically underfunded. What's your response to that?
Well, when it comes to education, we went from 30 billion up to 40 billion. When the previous government was closing 600 schools, we're building $16 billion of schools. We're going to continue funding education. We have 9,000 more educators today than we did back when we took office. So education plays such a critical role, but the foundation of that education and healthcare is our economy.
Thank you.
So, yeah. Okay.
Was that explicitly the reassurance that is not discussed?
Yeah, that's.
This event where Trudeau said that this is about economically weakening Canada and the U.S., the 51st state. Did you get a reassurance that that's not?
Well, they aren't coming into our country to take over. I'll tell you that. And I kind of flipped this around. What a compliment. We'll never be a 51st state. Canada's not for sale. But isn't it nice that someone thinks we have the greatest country in the world and they want access? And my simple answer to that is, you want access, let's build an AMCAN fortress that I've been saying. Let's supply more critical minerals. Let's supply more energy that you need. We are not the enemy. They know that. Their foe is China. That's their enemy, and ours to a certain degree. So let's just continue.
The president on the 51st state stuff, the president keeps saying over and over again.
That's the president. I can't answer for the president. He says whatever's on his mind, and it could change from day to day to day. But at the end of the day, he's the president, and he makes the choices. So I always believe in trying to get through this deal, and let's get back to normal. But the one thing the Americans will wake up real quick, this is going to hurt American jobs. A tariff on Canada is a tax on the American people. And I'll continue repeating it because I know that's the case and I believe in it. So the boss is giving me a wave back there as Colin's smiling. Do you know what I can't wait? You're all invited to the swearing in tomorrow. So I'll see you.
Electricity surcharge, though, is there any circumstance in which you would bring that back April 2nd as an example? Is that a time when you would bring
it's
that
always on the table, Colin, but the last thing I want to do is antagonize and everyone goes to war again. And I want to try to move forward on any negotiations. That's what I believe in. Maybe I'll make Colin the Sheriff of Ontario.
Right.
I will appoint him. Anyways, thanks,
Wait, I
everyone.
got a hat.
Thank you.